Hello students, hope you are doing well at home and you are fit and fine, safe. So today we are going to start the chapter The Rat Trap, that is the 4th chapter of your Flamingo book. And this chapter is basically about rat trap sailor. Now I think you all know what is rat trap. Rat trap, the trap which we set to catch the mouse or rat. You must have seen it is in your, what can be in your homes also. Your mother, maybe your parents must be keeping it to catch rats. So before I start the chapter, let us read something about the writer. Selma Lagerlöf was a Swedish writer whose stories have been translated into many languages. So she is from Sweden. A universal theme runs through all of them. A belief that the essential goodness in a human being can be awakened through understanding and love. The story is set amidst the mines of Sweden. So this story is from the mines of Sweden. Rich in iron ore, which figure large in the history and legends of that country. The story is told somewhat in the manner of a fairy tale. So in this story, writer is telling about the rat trap seller and what happens in his life and how he earns money to live, to take care of his life. We will see in this chapter. So once upon a time, there was a man who went around selling a small rat trap of wire. So rat traps are generally made of wire only. So this is about a person who used to go around to sell rat traps made by wire. He made them himself at odd moments from the material he got by begging in the stores or at the big farms. So he made it himself only. He used to make it from the material, whatever he used to get it from begging and from the different places from the big farm. He used to collect all the wires and he used to make the rat traps. But even so, the business was not especially profitable. He was begging and he was earning money. He was taking things from here and there. He was making rat tape and selling them. But still he was not getting lot of money. He was not getting profit out of this. So he had to resort to both begging and petty thievery to keep body and soul together. So what he used to do, he used to sell the rat trap also, and he used to do little bit. He used to take money from here and there. He used to do little bit thievery also. Means he used to become thief also. He used to take money from here and there to keep body and soul together. To keep body and soul together means to take care of his body and soul. So take care of his body and for his eating and all. Even so, his clothes were in rags. His clothes were not good. They are rags, torn clothes and bad one. The cheeks were sunken. His cheeks was also not so good looking. They were sunken, means gone inside. And hunger gleamed in his eyes. So you can understand he was the rat trap seller. His condition was not good. He did not have good clothes also. He used to take money from here and there. And his cheeks were sunken and his eyes also, we could see in his eyes the gleam of hunger. No one can imagine how sad and monotonous life can appear to such a vagabond. So we cannot even imagine which type of monotonous, very boring and bad life he was living. Such a vagabond means a person who wanders from one place to another, who plods along the road left to his own meditation. He just walks around the road. Plods means moving slowly. He walks along the road and he's lost in his meditation, means he's lost in his own thought. But one day this man had fallen into a line of thought. So one day he was just going on the road and he was just thinking something which really seemed to him entertaining. And he felt that, okay, that's very entertaining. He felt very excited when he was thinking about that. And what was that? He had naturally been thinking of his rat traps when suddenly he was struck by the idea. He was just, generally every day whenever he thinks, he used to think about his rat trap. But that day, suddenly one idea struck in his mind. That the whole word about him. What he started thinking? He started thinking about this whole world. The whole world with its lands and seas, and cities and villages. So he was thinking about his rat trap. Suddenly he changed his mind. He started thinking about the whole world, its lands, its seas, cities, village, and everything. Was nothing but a big rat trap. So after thinking of his rat trap, he started thinking of this word everything, the big cities, the villages, the sea, the lakes, the mountains, the things, everything. He thought that everything is also a big rat trap. Why did he say this? Because he did not have anything to eat, his condition was also not good, and he was feeling very excited to think about this, that I am selling rat trap, but actually this whole world is also rat trap. How it is rat trap? See, we people are so much involved in materialistic things, and these things are trapping us. It had never existed for any other purpose than to set a bet for people. It's like a bet. That means that food we keep inside the rat trap to catch the mouse. This whole world is like that. We are so much tempted. We are so much tempted for the things around us, and we want them. It offered riches and joy, shelter and food, heat and clothing, exactly as a rat trap offered cheese and pork. So everything in this world. Maybe we have house, maybe we have the cars, the big building, the good job, good clothes, and everything, whatever food, good food to eat, our entertainment, whatever we do, these all things are like rat trap only, like the cheese and pork of rat trap. And as soon as anyone let himself be tempted to touch the bed, it closed in on him. And as soon as we become tempted, we become curious to take that thing, and we are also trapped in that trap. And then everything came to an end, and then everything comes to an end. Actually, this is the reality of life. Whatever he is thinking, this is the reality. People nowadays are so busy earning money, they are so busy buying materialistic things, buying so many things in their life. It's still, what happens, they come inside the trap, they do these other things, and still they are not satisfied, still they are not contented. Then again they start searching for something else. So this whole world is like a rat trap. The world had of course never been very kind to him, so it gave him unwanted joy and think ill of it in this way. So actually his life was not good, and people were not so good to him. So he was feeling very nice to think about this, because not only this whole world is like rat trap. It became a cherished pastime of his. During many dreary ploddings, to think of people he knew who had let themselves be caught in the dangerous snares, and of others who were still circling around the bed. So he was getting a different type of joy. During many dreary ploddings means just dull wandering here and there, boring wandering here and there. He was thinking about to think of people he knew who had let themselves be caught in the dangers. He was thinking about the people, those who are already caught into the trap of this world, and for others who were still circling around the bed. And many people are already trapped inside that, and many people are still like we are watching, and we are being tempted. And one dark evening, as he was trudging along the road, he caught sight of a little grey cottage by the roadside. And one day when he was trudging, means moving on the road, he saw a cottage, a small cottage, a little grey cottage roadside, and he knocked on the door to ask shelter for the night. So it was night, and he was roaming on the road. He did not have any place to live also. So he went to the door to give him shelter for the night. Nor was he refused. Instead of the sour faces which ordinarily met him, and they did not refuse him. And the sour faces here are the troublesome faces, the people where it was looking like they are so much trouble. And the owner, who was an old man without wife or child, the person who came from there, he was an old one. He did not have wife also, neither he had children, was happy to get someone to talk to in his loneliness. And that person was very happy to see him. He thought he did not have anybody at home. He thought it will be good to talk to him. Immediately he put the porridge pot on the fire and gave him supper. Porridge means, you can say dalia also, we eat kheer also, that is also called porridge. Then he carved off such a big slice from his tobacco. Then he took a slice of tobacco, and he was decorating, maybe he was making the shape and roll, that it was enough for both the stranger's pipe and his own. He was making the tobacco piece for the tobacco pipe for that man, rat trap sailor, and for him. Finally, he got out an old pack of cards and played majolies with his guest until bedtime. And after that, they started playing cards. The old man was just as generous with his confidence as with his porridge and tobacco. So he was very generous. He gave him enough porridge also, and tobacco also. The guest was informed at once that in his days of prosperity, his host had been a crofter at Ramjo's iron works. He said, I was a crofter, a small plower in Ramjo's iron work, and had worked on the land, and he used to work in the land also. Now that was no longer able to do day labor. It was his cow which supported him. He said now he is not able to do anything, only he has one cow which helps him. Yes, that bossy was extraordinary, and this owner was looking extraordinary. She could give milk for the creamery every day. Creamery means cow was giving milk, and they were making cream of it. And last month he had received all 30 kroner in payment. Kroner here, kroner is the currency of Sweden. So he did not have anything now. Earlier he was working in the iron works or Ramsos, and now he did not work, but only he had a cow. And cow gives milk and for creamery to make cream, and he gets money also out of that. The stranger must have seemed incredulous, for the old man got up and went to the window, and for that person it was actually unbelievable. He could not believe in that. Took down a leather pouch which hung on a nail in the very window frame. Then after that the host, he took down a pouch. A bag was there, hung in the nail near the window, and picked out 3 wrinkled 10 kroner bills. And there were 10 corners wrinkled, they were not in good condition. These he held up before the eyes of the guest, nodding knowingly. And he held that in his hand, and the guest, he was looking at the guest eye, and he nodded. Nodded means just moving his head. And then stuffed them back into the pouch. After that, he took them back. He kept them back inside the pouch. The next day, both men got up in good reason. The crofter was in a hurry to milk his cow, and the other man probably thought he should not stay in bed when the head of the house had gotten up. So next day, man got up and he went to milk the cow, and the rat trap seller who was there, he thought that this man is already gone, so I will also go. They left the cottage at the same time. The crofter locked the door and put the key in his pocket. The man with the rat trap said goodbye and thank you, and thereupon each went to his own way. So morning when they got up, the owner of the house, he went to milk the cow, and rat trap seller also said goodbye and thank you, and both of them went to their own way. So in the last stanza we have done that the crofter and rat trap seller, they got up in the morning and both of them went to their way. But half an hour later, the rat trap peddler stood again before the door. But half an hour later, the rat trap seller, he came back and he was standing near the door. He did not try to get in. He did not go inside. However, he only went up to the window. He went till the window and smashed a pane stuck in his hand. Smashed means, you can say broken the pane. Pane will be window pane. He broke the window pane, and that is stuck in his hand also, and got hold of the pouch with the 30 kroner. In last page we have done that. The crofter had one bag in which inside there were 30 kroner, and kroner I have already told you that is Sweden currency. Then he hung the leather pouch very carefully back in its place and went away. So he came back to steal the money. As in earlier we have done in the starting of the chapter, he not only sails the rat trap, because that earning is not for him, not enough for him for his daily bread and butter, so he used to steal the money also. So he has stolen the money, and after that he kept the bag in the same place and he went away. As he walked along, the money in his pocket, he felt quite pleased with his smartness. Now he went from there and he was feeling very happy. He was feeling that I am quite smart, I am very smart, I have done a great job. He realized, of course, that first he dare not continue on the public highway, but must turn off the road into the woods. So he decided that he will not go from the highway, he will not go from the road, he will go from the woods. Woods means forest, from jungle. During the first hour, this caused him no difficulty. Later in the day, it became worse. So when he started, he was comfortably, he was walking there, but afterward it became worse. He could not walk properly there, for it was a big and confusing forest which he had gotten into, because the forest was very big and he was confused also which way to go and where to go. He tried to be sure to walk in a definite direction, but the path twisted back and forth so strangely. He walked and walked without coming to the end of the wood. So he was trying to go in a definite direction in one way only to go out of the woods, but unfortunately he was so confused that again and again he was coming back in the same way. And finally he realized that he had only been walking around in the same part of the forest. And at last when he saw that he was going and walking in the forest. He wanted to go out of the forest, but he realized that he is in the same place. All at once he recalled his thoughts about the word and the rat trap. And suddenly again he started thinking about what he was thinking earlier. This whole word is rat trap. Now his own turn had come, and this is his own turn because he is also trapped inside the forest. He had let himself be fooled by a bit and had been caught. The whole forest, with its trunks and branches, its thickets and fallen logs, closed in upon him like impenetrable prison from which he could never escape. So he now see, because of this whatever he has stolen, he has also locked inside a trap. Now he has also become fooled. Now he is also locked inside the trap. And which type of trap he is right now? He is inside the forest. Trunks are there, branches are there, fallen logs of the woods are there, and he is in the jungle. He is in the prison. Which type of prison? Impenetrable. Penetrable means now he is not able to come out of that prison. It was late in December. Darkness was already descending over the forest. So it was late winter of December. It was almost dark in forest. This increased the danger and increased also his gloom and despair. Finally he saw no way out and he sank down on the ground. So it was already very dark and he could not find anyone also there. So finally he got down and sank down on the ground, tired to death, thinking that his last moment had come. Now he was very much tired walking around the forest, but he was not able to get the proper way from where he would go inside. So he was very tired and he fell down on the ground. But just as he laid his head on the ground, he heard a sound, a hard, regular thumping. So as he fell down, he heard a sound. Somebody was thumping sound he heard. There was no doubt as to what that was. He raised himself. Those are the hammer strokes from an iron mill. So he heard the sound again and again of thumping, and he realized that this is the thumping sound. This is the sound of hammer stroke and can be from iron mill. He thought there must be people nearby. He summoned all his strength, got up and staggered in the direction of the sound. Again he got the courage, he got his strength, and after that he started walking in the direction. The Ramjo's ironwork, which are now closed down, were not so long ago a large plant with smelter, rolling mill and forge. So he's telling now that Ramjo's ironwork, which was closed now, earlier it used to have a large plant, smelter means where they melt the iron, rolling mills were there, forge furnace with the furnace, forge means furnace, where we burn the fire. In the summertime, long lines of heavily loaded barges, scows, slid down the canal. So in the summertime, there used to be big boats with we used to go to the canal, which led to a large inland lake. And in the winter time, the roads near the mill were black from all the coal dust which shifted down from the big charcoal crates. And in some winter time, there used to be roads near the mill were black from the coal dust which comes from the big charcoal crates. Crate means basket. During one of the long dark evenings just before Christmas, the master smith and his helper sat in the dark forge near the furnace waiting for the pig iron. So he's telling about the time during Christmas. The master and his helper used to sit near the furnace and put big iron inside the furnace, which had been put in the fire to be ready to put on the anvil. Okay. So every now and then one of them got up to stare and glowing mass with a long iron bar. So every now and then one of them will come and they will see that melting iron. Returning in a few moments, dripping with perspiration. Perspiration means they would come from the furnace near, so it would be very hot and they would be all with the sweat there. As was the custom, he wore nothing but a long shirt and pair of wooden shoes, because this working in near the furnace and melting iron mills, it's very hot there. The people don't wear anything. They were just wearing a long shirt and a wooden shoe. All the time there were many sounds to be heard in the forge. The big bellows groaned and the burning coal cracked. Bellows mean machines, big machine. If you go to that iron mill, you can hear a big sound of the groaning sound of the big machine, and the burning coal cracked, and cracking sound of the burning coal. The fire boy shoveled charcoal into a mow. Shovel means moving his spade. With that they used to throw the charcoal into the mouth of the furnace. Mouth means mouth of the furnace with a great deal of clatter. So what they do, they use that spade to throw the coal in the furnace and charcoal in the furnace, and used to make clatter sound. Outside roared the waterfall, and the sharp north wind whipped the rain against the brick tile roof. So inside everything was going on, the work was going on. They were throwing charcoal in the furnace, and outside it was waterfall was there, and wind, the sharp north wind could be heard. It was blowing very harsh and hard. The rain against the brick tile roof, and you can see the rain against the brick tile roof. It was probably an account of all this noise that the blacksmith did not notice that a man had opened the gate and entered the forge until he stood close up to the furnace. So much of noise was there, clattering noise and all groaning, all the type of noise. So the blacksmith could not realize that the man is standing there and had opened the gate and entered the forge until he stood close up to the furnace. So because of the noise, nothing was audible there, who is coming, who is going. But when he stood close to the furnace, then he could realize that one man has opened the gate and he has come inside. So we have done in the last stanza that red trap seller, he reached to the iron mill. Surely it was nothing unusual for poor vagabonds without any better shelter for the night to be attracted to the forge by the glow of light which escaped through the sooty panes. So as he reached in that place, surely it was nothing unusual for the vagabonds without any better shelter for the night. Because that person, that wanderer who came there, the red trap seller, it would be very nice place for him to spend his night, because to be attracted to the forge by the glow of light. It would be near the furnace also. He will not feel cold also. So with the glow of light was also there, which escaped through the sooty pane. And he escaped from the sooty pane, and he came to the place where the furnace was there and light, and to come into the warmth themselves in front of the fire. So he says it would be better place for him to go to any place rather than coming here and sitting near the fireplace to make himself warm also. The blacksmith glanced only casually and indifferently at the intruder. So blacksmith was there near the furnace. He just looked at him casually and indifferently, different to the intruder. And who is the intruder? The red trap seller. He looked the way people of his type usually did, with a long beard, dirty ragged, and with a bunch of rat trap dangling on his chest. So this is rat trap seller. He had very bad dirty clothes. He wore very dirty clothes, and he has bunch of rat traps dangling, hanging on his chest. He asked permission to stay, and the master blacksmith nodded a hearty consent without honoring him with a single word. So he asked the permission to stay there, and the master blacksmith nodded a hearty consent. He gave a hearty means the people, those who feel proud on themselves, a proud consent we can say, without honoring him with a single. He did not say anything. He just gave with his gesture only. He said, "Okay." The tramp did not say anything either. He had not come there to talk, but only to warm himself and sleep. And the tramp, who is tramp here? The red trap seller, who was looking like a beggar. So he also did not say anything, because he knew that he had not come here to have a talk with someone. He had come here to just sleep for a night. In those days, the Ramses iron mill was owned by a very prominent iron master. So this is now in the present. In last chapter we told about the in past how the mill was, and now it is in present when he had reached here. So it was owned by a prominent famous iron master whose greatest ambition was to ship out good iron to the market. So his ambition was he wanted to sell good iron in the market. He watched both night and day to see that the work was done as well as possible. So every night and day he was just taking a round, he was watching, he was inspecting everything was doing well or not. And at this very moment he came in the forge on one of his nightly round of inspection, and this moment right now he has come to the forge, he has come near the furnaces to take a round. Naturally, the first thing he saw the tall ragamuffins. Ragamuffins means a person who is in the, that person who was in the dirty clothes, he was in dirty dress, who had eased his way so close to the furnace that steam rose from his wet rat. So he looked at that person, that rat trap seller, who has gone near the furnace. He was wearing very dirty clothes, rags he was wearing, and even his clothes were so wet that when he sat near furnace, the steam rose from his wet rags. The ironmaster did not follow the example of the blacksmith, who had hardly deigned to look at the stranger. So ironmaster did not follow example of blacksmith. So he did not do like blacksmith. He just went to that person. He walked close up to him. He went close to him, looked him over very carefully, then tore off his slouch hat to get a better view of his face. So he went near that person, rat trap seller. He went very close, carefully he was watching him, and then tore off his slouch hat to get a better. Slouch means he bent his head. He must be wearing hat, and he was not able to see him properly. So he bent his head and looked at him, his face. But of course, is it you, Niels Olf? He said. How you do look? So he thought he is somebody whom he knew earlier. He was calling him with the name of Niels Olf. He said, "Is it you? How you do look?" So means how do you look? How come you are here? The man with the red traps had never before seen the ironmaster at Ramsos and did not even know what his name was. But that red trap seller, he did not know who is that and what was his name. But it occurred to him that if the fine gentleman thought he was an old acquaintance, and that he was thinking that red trap seller he knew earlier and he was calling him with a different name, he might perhaps throw him a couple of kroner. Therefore, he did not want to undeceive him all at once. So he thought, suddenly, red trap seller thought maybe he would give me some kroner, so he did not say anything. Yes, God knows things have gone down hill with me, he said. And he said, nowadays things have gone down with me, condition is not so good. You should not have resigned from the regiment, said the ironmaster. And ironmaster was something thinking that he is the person who was working in the regiment. His name was Niels also. He was saying, why did you resign from the regiment? That was the mistake. If only I had still been in the service at that time, it never would have happened. Well, now, of course, you will come home with me. He said, if I would have been there, you would have never resigned from your post. But now it's okay, whatever happened, now you will come to my home with me. To go along up to the manor house and be received by the owner like an old regimental comrade, that however did not please the tramp. Manor house means farmhouse. So, the red tape seller, he thought that to go along with that person who was like looking like officers of any regiment, and that however did not please the tramp. So I cannot go like this. He was not feeling good to go with him. No, I could not think of it, he said, looking quite alarmed. So when ironmaster said to him, come to me, come to my home with me. So he said, no, I could not think of it. He said, looking quite alarmed. He said, no, I can't come with you. He was looking a little bit alarmed. He was a little bit afraid also. He thought of the 30 corner to go up to the manor house would be like throwing himself voluntarily into the lion's den. And he was thinking that if he'll go to the farmhouse of this ironmaster, it will be like willingly going to the lion's den. It can be dangerous for him. The only wanted a chance to sleep here in the forge and then sneak away inconspicuously. Inconspicuously means hardly seen. So he did not want to go to his home. He wanted to sleep here and just go from here without anybody he can be seen by anybody as possible. The ironmaster assumed that he felt embarrassed because of his miserable clothing, and he was thinking different. Ironmaster was thinking that because he is looking like a beggar, his clothes were not good, so that's why he doesn't want to come with me. Please do not think that I have such a fine house that you cannot show yourself there. And he said, okay, relax. Don't think that you cannot come to my house because you don't have good clothes. He said, Elizabeth is dead, as you may already have heard. He said, my Elizabeth is already dead, my wife. You must have heard this. My boys are abroad and there is no one at home except my oldest daughter and myself. He said, nobody is there at home, only my daughter and me. We were just saying that it was too bad we did not have any company for Christmas. And we were also thinking that for Christmas we don't have any company. We were feeling bad. Now come along with me. Help us make the Christmas food disappear a little faster. He said, please come to me, come with me. We'll have one more person, so help me to eat my all the Christmas food a little faster. But the stranger said no and again no, and the ironmaster saw that he must give in. It looks as though continuously he was saying no, I cannot come. So ironmaster said, okay, I should give in. It looks as though Captain Von Stahel preferred to stay with you tonight. Storm, he said to the master blacksmith, and turned on his. He said, it looks like means you want to live. This Captain Stahel, he prefers to be with you at night. So he just turned his heel. But he laughed to himself as he went away, and the blacksmith, who knew him, understood very well that he had not said his last word. So he was laughing in that, and blacksmith was thinking that maybe he has not said anything, so he has not gave any consent, and he did not say yes also and no also. It was not more than half an hour before they heard the sound of carriage wheels outside the fort. So after that half an hour, one vehicle came outside the furnace, and a new guest came in. But this time it was not the ironmaster. He had sent his daughter, apparently hoping that she would have better powers of persuasion than he himself. So who was there now? Ironmaster's daughter was there. And because he must have thought that I could not pursue himself to come to my home, that celeb, so my daughter would do that. She entered, followed by a valet, servant. One servant was there with her, carrying on his arm a big fur coat. She was not at all pretty, but seemed modest and quite shy. So she came, when fur coat was there in his hand. She was not so pretty, but she was looking very modest and quite shy also. In the forge, everything was just as it had been earlier in the evening. Everything was same. The master blacksmith and his apprentice still sat on their bench, and iron and charcoal still glowed in the furnace. So they were sitting there. Even means work was going on. There was charcoal in the furnace. The stranger had stretched himself out on the floor and lay with a piece of pig iron under his head. And the stranger, Red Reptile, he was sleeping there and keeping one iron under his head, and his head pulled down over his eyes, and he covered his eyes with the head. As soon as the young girl caught sight of him, she went up and lifted his head. The man was evidently used to sleeping with one eye open. So the girl reached there, and she lifted the hat of that person, and he was in habit of sleeping with one eye open. He jumped up abruptly and seemed to be quite frightened, and suddenly he jumped up and he looked quite frightened. My name is Edla Wilmenson, said the young girl. My father came home and said that you wanted to sleep here in the forge tonight, and then asked permission to come and bring you home to us. I am sorry, Captain, that you are having such a hard time. So she said, my name is Edla, and my father just now he came home and he said that you are there, you are sleeping in the forge, so you've asked permission to him, but now I want to take you to my home. I am sorry, Captain, that you are having such a hard time. And she also thought that he's a captain, and she said, I am feeling very sorry because you are having so hard time.